Now for part 3 of my saga. Where we left off, I had said that my parents did their best, except that my dad didn't really do his best. He cheated on my mom. My parents were married for 26 years, and my dad left my mom for another woman. And so that was fine. Not. So the next part of my story is when they called me out to the living room. I was about 13 and a half. I was just started 8th grade. And my parents called me out to the living room and told me they were getting a divorce. And it was like, this doesn't happen to me. This happens to other people. Because back then, divorce was not that was not a very well-known thing. You know, people didn't do it. My mom had to hire an investigator actually to get her divorce. She had to prove that he was cheating on her because there was no such thing as no-fault divorce back then. So they told me, and it was very upsetting. And my mom had just been given a dog for her birthday. We'd only had her maybe 3 months. I don't even think we had her that long. She was a puppy. She was a beagle puppy. Her name was Velvet. And I remember playing with her, and she was like the first dog I ever really had any kind of attachment to. Someday I'll talk to you about my dog thing, what my thing with dogs. But so honestly, I was more upset about having to give the dog away, because that was what they told me the same day. It's like, we're gonna have to give the dog away. It's like, oh my God, I was devastated. So, because they had to sell the house, and Mom and I had to move into an apartment, and I guess there was no dog. She was too big for the apartment, and it was a tiny apartment, maybe 800 square feet. I don't even know. It was just a living room, a little tiny kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and a bathroom. It was small. But so yeah, I was really more upset about losing the dog than I was with my dad. Like I said, I never really felt like my dad liked me that much, and plus I didn't really even know him. It wasn't like I was missing him, like I saw him all the time. But just the fact that my life was uprooted, and that was pretty devastating. And then on top of all this, my best friend that I had had since 2nd grade, really probably since 6th grade, we were really best friends. About a year after this happened, my best friend comes up to me one day at school and says, "You need to find your own friends. You just keep tagging along. I make new friends, and you just tag along. You need to make your own friends." It was like, what? It was just like, I just felt like I was sucker punched. It was just, I didn't know that I was a bother. And I was the shy one. She's right. I wasn't making my own friends, but I was trying to learn kind of how. And so she really hurt me bad. She's the one I used to go horseback riding with. We'd pack our lunch and go riding together. So it was really, really sad. Just another horrible thing to add to my, my shit that I put up with in my life. But what do you do? So with my dad, normally when people get a divorce, they set up a visitation. There was no visitation set up. Dad moved maybe about 20 miles away, and he had me over for their wedding reception when he married this woman, who he actually stayed married to for over 50 years. So it was a good thing. It wasn't like he was just cheating around, Anyway, for whatever it's worth. And I ended up loving her. She, we were okay, but it took a while. So I didn't have any visitation really with Dad. I went to their wedding reception, and I met her 3 boys that she was raising, that she had. They were all younger than me. I think the oldest one is about 3 or 4 years younger than me. So, or no, he was more like 5 years younger. So here I am with all these people. I don't know why am I even here? This stupid thing. And then I probably went to that house. I, wa- I only have like a couple of other memories. Maybe 2 or 3 times did I ever visit him at that house in the course of a year. And then they moved 100 miles away to another city. And then that one, they had, they were living on an acre of land, and there was somebody had their horse there, so there was a horse there, my thing. And then they had this big black lab dog that I always wanted a big dog because that's what my friends had. I wasn't really a dog person, but I wanted to be, you know. I didn't know that then. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the whole point was they had all the things that I always wanted, and plus my dad. You know, so my dad waited for my sister to graduate and then didn't wait for me. Then he basically abandoned me. I mean, he would invite me down to go visit, so I'd have to ride the bus because I wasn't old enough to drive, so I'd have to ride the bus to where they were, and then sit around and be no, I didn't know how to talk to these people. I didn't even know my dad really. It was just going to be with some guy, you know, some uncle. And so I'd come home and just be depressed. And then they moved 150 miles away. So I would only go, and that was over the mountains. So I'd ride the bus over there at Christmas time and in the summer for maybe a week or a weekend to go camping or something. And that was my relationship with my dad until I got married. You know, I got married. My first son was born when I was 25, or I had just turned 26. So, or just about to. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So that's when he kind of got a little more involved, but they still lived far away and only visited once a year. And then I'm supposed to go be around them and act like, yeah, we're just this cool, happy family. I'm thinking, no, you have that. I don't have that. I felt like the stepchild all the time. And, you know, that's what hurt, was that I'm your fucking daughter and I don't even know you. You know all these people, but I don't even know who you are. But I'm supposed to act like everything's just great. And I did act like that because I didn't know how to stand up. I didn't feel worthy of, you know, well, he left. Why do I even matter? And so all of those feelings that happened because of that entered into my adult life, to where I have trust issues, you know, and abandonment issues, and fear of rejection. And that applies to all relationships, not just, you know, like a romantic relationship. That applies to all my relationships. It's so hard for me to stand up for myself because it's just me, you know. That's the message that was sent to me without saying the words, is that you don't really matter. And so I've been fighting that my whole life. And, you know, I'm 71 and I'm still fighting it. So I'm going to stop this because this is getting really long, and I will come back with part 4. And I just want to talk some more about how all of this has affected my adult life. All right. I hope you made it this far. And if not, oh well, at least I'm getting it out.